All right. Welcome to Bikas Web Channel. My name is Bikas and I'm here back again with another video. And this video is the third video in our project series, which is about building this easy link web application. So the core idea of this application is that someone can enter a long URL and then they can generate a short URL, and then that short URL, if entered, will redirect them to their original URL. So that's a core concept, and we have been already building two videos in that. One was backend setup with Node, Express, Mongodb and everything, and then creating the routes for short URL generation and then redirection. And then the last video was about converting that into front end. So for example, if you click here and if you pass some link, so let's say this link here, and then you can give whatever the name you want. I will say test name, and then if I click this, then I get this kind of short URL. And in practical life, in real life, you will not have this localhost, but you will have some domain name, maybe some bikas something or whatever the domain name you will have. And then there is this short code, and then when someone uses this link, and then they will be redirected to whatever the original link we gave to create that short link. So we have achieved so far these, and then in today's video we will be dealing about this user login, user registering, and then authentication. So mainly how can a user sign up, so we'll be dealing of sign up or register route, and then login route, and then also creating SS token and sending that SS token in API request as a response. So that's what we will be dealing, and we will be focusing only in the backend or server side of this. And then in next video, we will be attaching that to create this beautiful UI with all the login and authentication from the front end. So if that sounds interesting for you, and if that's what you are looking for, then smash the like button. If you overall enjoy this project and you wanna be there until the end, then subscribe the channel and also hit the bell notification icon, so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be the first person getting notification. Let's start the video. Alright, so we are here in our VS Code Studio, this project, and you can find the link to this here in this repository. I have shared the link in the description, and you can find also all the playlist and everything there in the description. So I have been working in this tutorial branch, and later I may be posting this in masters depending on when you will see this video. However, I will always keep this fresh start as completely fresh. So the idea is that you start from the very first video and then you just follow me along. So you can do that. If not, if you just want to copy paste the code and anything, then you can just use this tutorial branch. So everything is there, and then the project is exactly the project that you saw there. We have a client, we have server, and today we will be dealing mostly in the server side. So first thing first, let's go to router. Okay, and we have URL router already, so we will create another router, and that will be user router. So there can be auth router, and it's always a case. Usually it's better practice that you have an auth route, and then you will be doing auth.login, auth sign up, and then also password reset link and so on. So for that reason, it's better to separate that route with user route, because in user route you will be getting get user by ID and so on. However, for this very short video, and we will have basically just two routes, user route and URL route. So for this purpose, I will be only dealing with user route. However, I just wanted to tell you so that you can actually separate this and have an auth route, and that will handle all the authentication steps, like I said, registering, login, and then also password reset and so on. Okay, so let's just import something, and that will be router. I will also import next function. Let's just import these from Express. We will import these, and then just like in earlier, we will have const route from there, and let's not forget to export this. Okay, so let's go to our index, and here we have user router that will be imported from user router. All right, so just like this, we'll go here and we will just say user. And this is also another interesting thing. I didn't do URLs, so there is a practice to have like users and then you get one or something, but I'll just have user route. I'm just telling you because there are this REST API guideline that how can you do, but we are not completely following REST API guideline here. We are just trying to understand how this endpoints works and so on, so that you will have the idea and then you can follow the practices. But I'm just telling you that there are those practices. So now we already have a user router linked there, so we can now already create our first route. And as I said, we can also have this in auth, but now we will just do this. Okay, and this will be async, and we'll have request, and then we will have response, and that will be there. And for now, let's just do response dot send hello. Okay, so this way we can actually test if this route is working or not. And this is a post route, so let's go to postman, and then we are here in user, and this is post. And remember, we already have this API, and the reason for that is it's also indicated here that they will get this prefix. However, the reason behind that is inside here where we are importing it, we have already given this. So that's why all of our routes, whatever we will add here in the index, will automatically get that prefix. So we go here, and then if I click this, you see we'll get hello. So that's that seems completely working. And also let's see if our debugger is working today. I try to adjust it, so I just want to see if it will stop there or not, because it will be really helpful. Okay, so we have it. And the beauty of debugger is now I can hover over request. Well, actually, if I had request somewhere there, then I will get a lot of things, and that will be really useful later. And then the next thing we want is we want to go here in our models, and here I'll create another model, and that will be user model. Okay, so let's go to URL model and see how the things are done there. So I'll just copy this, and then I'll just paste it here. Okay, so I just paused the video and I added all this because just to save some time. So we have full name, email, everything. That's almost same as here, and then it all comes from here. I think we have some user model, ID, email, password, full name. So the idea is we have full name, ID automatically it will be generated by Mongo for us, and then we have email here. And then I'm also saying that email should be unique and it should be indexed. So that means we will be searching a lot of things from email instead of ID. And then the password should be required. So it's a true. Full name also is required. We have created, updated. And then also in URL model, we can actually go here, and this probably is the time to also add index here, because we do use this and also this for searching. So that probably our searching will be faster. Now we have our user schema, user model, and the next one is we'll also go here and we'll create user service. Okay, and let's see what we have in URL service. Okay, so we have a couple of things there. So at least we have to import something from TypeScript or type folder, and then we have something. Okay, so let's go here. I'll do that, and for now we don't need it. Soon we will need to define types for this, and then we don't want actually user. We want user but not URL. So if I go to model, and then we have user model. So I think these two should do the job. So let's go, and we can always take reference from what we did here. So we had this create one, and that was pretty good. So let's go and let's do the create one. So create user, and that will be an async function, and we will take payload, and then we will define the type. For now I'll just put any, and then we will have something. Let's have try and catch. Okay, so we will have user, and let's see what payload we need. So if we go to user model, we will need full name, we will also need email, and we will need a password. Okay, so we will need at least 3 things. So let's go to our types folder here, and then we can have user types, and here we can just say export type user payload type. Okay, and then that will be full name, that will be string, and then we want email, that will be string, and we want also password, that will be string. So we have that, and we have this practice that we want to export everything from index, and the reason behind that is so that we don't have to individually import all of these. We can just use one file. Let's close this, and we are here. So here I can already do user register payload, and then I can say here user register payload type, and then what we want is we want to probably do some checking here, or maybe not. Let's just go first here, and then let's try to do something. What are we going to return from here is we will also return something. I think we haven't done that practice here. We are not saying what we will be returning there, but let's have that good practice here. So let's say user type, and then we have to go and create this user type. We can also already import that from here, and let's go to user type. So I'll just say export. So we will have user type, we'll have ID, and that will be string. And the reason why I said it's optional is, I don't know, let's see, we may have it, we may not have it. Let's just have it, and then we will have all these things, and on top of that we will have created it, that will be string, and we will have updated it, and that will be string. Later we will also have URL, I guess, but we will do it when we will have that. And then we have user type. However, this user type should be promise type, because we have async thing there. Okay, so let's go here, and I can say const user. We just do user to create, and then we just pass payload, and then we'll just return user. Okay, so we are getting something here. So we have full name, we have email, we have created it. Okay, so that's the reason why I wanted to have this type as optional. Okay, so we have user, and then if we have any error, then we'll just throw error for now. So this way we actually have now user creation route. However, this is not a complete one, because if you notice, we will get some password. So if you see here, we will get password, but we want to say password in a better way by hashing it. Okay, so that's what we need to do it. However, for now, let's just go with it. Let's register it, let's test it, and then build it on top of that. So be here in user services, and then let's also create export. So we also do user login, and these kind of things should be in auth services, but as I said earlier, we will still do it here. And we can have a payload. For now, any, we have to define that, and then we can actually copy this, and that should do the job. Then the next thing is again having a try catch. So what do we want to do? We want to find user. And how do we want to find? We want to find email from payload.email. So when user log in, we will have something. So I will just copy this, and instead of, I will say login. So we don't need full name in login, but we need email. Okay, so here we can have user login payload type. So we will have email, and then if we don't have user, we will return false. Okay, so that means this should either get user type or boolean. So we'll return false, and then we need to do something. We can also have to do here. So hash the password. So we want to hash the password. That's what we want to do. And then here, if we have user, we want to compare the password, because we want to match that whatever the user have provided is actually the one that we have in database. So we'll have, and then if we have everything done, then we will return user. And then if we have any error, we'll also do error throwing here. So we have to do these two things, and we will install some package and we will do those later, but for now this is what it is. And then we will go to our user router here. So first thing first, let's go and let's import something from user services, and one is create user, another is login user. Okay, so here now instead of hello, we want to do something. Okay, so let's also do try catch here. I don't think we need to do try catch exactly here, but we may actually, we will do something. We will also import something from here. So we will import user from user model, and that's why we need that. So we can also do, like I said in earlier video, in URL route, I said you can do all the validation and everything there. Similarly, also here, when someone posts us or when we get payload from front end, especially from input, it's always a good practice, because someone might type anything in the input, even some cases database related thing or so on. So you don't want that kind of thing directly going to your database or anything. So it's good practice to do some handling or validation here, checking if the email is in email format, if the full name is string, and so on. And that's good practice to do in backend, and also good practice to already do also in front end. So, but that is up to you. I just told you that that's a good practice to do, but we will not do. So validation like email format, etc. So we can do that here, but we are not doing here. All we will do is we'll just check if we'll check something. So for example, we'll get payload from requested body as user register payload type, and then if payload, if we don't have few things here, because we need email, and we also want first full name, and we also want password, and we are not testing any password length or anything. And again, those thing goes here. So if the password matches the format, like it should have like some capital letter and so on. So these are all the thing better to do also in front end, but also here, because sometime you might be using API somewhere else. So even if you do everything formatting here, it's still better to do it also in the backend. So that's up to you, and maybe in future I will make a separate video about those validation. But let's just proceed here with just this simple approach. So the idea is here, if we don't get the thing that we want, then we'll just return status 400, and we'll just say missing. Let's see if we already have here this one. So we'll just copy this, and we'll say that we are not getting the things that we are expecting. Okay, otherwise, else, if we have everything there, then we will enter into try catch, and in the catch we will do probably res status, say 500, and then we can do JSON, and let's see, we probably have already from here. It's even good practice to have all those things in one place and import it from there, or even give like some sort of error handling so that you have the same name and same this status code and so on. But we are doing manual way here. So in the try, we want to find if user already exists, and by the way, that can also fall in this validation part, but we are doing here. So we want to do, we can just do const user, so let's just do user dot find one, and we can do email, and then we have payload dot email. So if we have user, if we get existing user, that means this email is not available to register, because we wanted each and every email to be unique. And if that email already exists in our database, that means that user with that email already exists. So 401, actually it should be 403, but let's just do 401, and we just say email address is not available. So and then that should do. But if it does not exist, that's when we want to have user, and then await, and then we have create user, and we'll pass payload. And let's see payload. Okay, so I have a typo there. So, and then for now we want to do status is 201, and then we just say JSON user. So let's do this for now, but later, instead of sending user, because we don't want to send user, we don't want to send user's password detail and so on as a reply or as a response, but for now we are just testing this route. So let's do that. And then here we have try and catch. Why we have two try and catch? Interesting. Okay, just don't understand why we have try and catch. Let's remove this. So let's test it. Let's go here. I'll just remove this email for now, and I will make a request, and it says missing required parameter. However, if I give this email address is not available. Okay, I may have tested with this email, and then let's do 2, and you see we have full name, we got the password, but this is very bad way because we have exactly this thing stored in our database, we have created, and we have ID. So our registration part user sign up is actually successful. So the next thing is we can try also our another route, and that is router.get. And actually it's not get, it's also is post, and it's a login route. And then we can just copy this here. So now we can do basically the same thing we did. Payload is coming from requested body as user login payload. So that's the first thing. And here also we can say that if we don't need full name, if we don't get the thing we want, then we can basically copy this here, and then we go in else, and here we can do try catch, or even do we even need to do try catch? We don't need to do try catch, I guess. So all we can do is just do const user data is await, and we have login user, and we will pass payload, and then status is 200, and then we will pass user data. Once again, this is not what the final version should, because when user login, instead of sending their user data, we are sending them the login SS token, which we will create soon after this. But let's test this if the login route is working or not. So let's go to Postman. Let's copy this here and let's make it post. Let's go here, and then we have user login, and then let's just go body, and let's copy everything from here. We don't need full name, it really doesn't matter if we pass it. And let's say if I don't have email, and if someone tries to only, okay, so it says missing required parameter, but if I pass this, then it gives us our information. So it gives us our full name, our ID, and everything. So our login and our sign up route, both of them are working perfectly. However, we have a lot of tasks to do, and first thing, I think the best way to approach this is, let's go here, and I'll go inside the server, and we have to install something, and that is bcrypt. Okay, so this is used for hashing the password. Okay, that's what we will do. So let's go and let's hash our password, so that whenever we have a new user sign up, we are storing their password in a hash format. Alright, so before proceeding with that, we have this util folder, and we tried to do something but we haven't done it. So we'll utilize this util folder, and just telling you that go to your .env file, and then we need to add a few things, especially this JWT secret. We will need it when we will be creating SS token. You can also have session secret, we may or may not use it. So just telling you, I have mine already in the env, you also have to do yours. And then we go to util, and let's create something called secret.ts, and here I will just require .env, and then it's just so that we get things from our .env file. We have also done similar thing in env. We have actually imported and then we have done .env config. I can also do the same import, but I just did this way. And then I'm just going to export from here session. Let's go and see what we have named. So session secret, and then that is none other than process.env session secret, because we have that in this env. And then another one is jwt secret. So let's just go here and then we can just do this. Okay, so we have this secret, and I'll just go here and do export everything from secret. So basically the same approach we used here in our types, I'm also using it here. So we can just import everything from util. And then we also want to do one more thing in util, and that is exactly the thing what we need for our hashing. I'll just call this hash.ts. You can call it whatever you want. Let's import from bcrypt, and then we may want to use something. Okay, we don't want to import anything. I'll call something called salt rounds. And if you go to, let's go, then it has pretty nice documentation how you can create a password, what kind of salt round. And so we have salt round, and then this is the plain password, and then like that whatever we want to do, we just generate it and then we get it. And then there is a compare, so we pass the normal password and then we pass the hashing password, and then it will give us results. So we will be basically dealing with these two here. So let's go, and then create a hash. So I'll just call it create hash. I will not call it create password hash, because we may use it in future for other stuffs. So this is value to hash, and we will be accepting a string, and then in return we will be also returning something. And actually I don't even need this. I can just say directly we can return bcrypt, and there is something called hash sync, I guess, and not like this, and then value to hash, and we have salt round. So this way we will get a hash value, and then let's also go and call it compare hash. So we want value to compare, and that will be string, and we have hash value, and that will be string. So this will be password that user will send us, and this will be password we will be saving in the database, and we will match those and we will compare those. Okay, and then it will just give us true or false. And how do we want this? Okay, let's do something like this. So and then we'll just return compare sync, and then value to compare and hash value. So I think these two should be enough. We'll test it. Okay, so let's go to our user services here, and here we want to hash. So now we can just do something like this. However, password will be create hash that will be imported, and then payload dot password. Okay, let's go and fix the import here. Okay, so this way whatever payload we have, it will be, but for password we will not be saving the plain password, but we will save the hash value of that, and then rest of the thing we are doing exactly how we had. And then here, instead of directly returning user, what we want to do is we want to compare it. So let's say password match. So password match will be compare hash. So we want to has two things. One is value to compare, so that value is whatever the user have entered now, and then whatever the value we have saved in our MongoDB. So when user sign ups, we are saving in the password field hashed value, so we don't have plain value anymore. But when user login, first based on email, we will try to find, we will get the user that we have in DB, and then we'll try to match the password. So whatever we user have now given us during this login time, and then whatever the password we have, and then if that is matched, then we will, if we have password match, then we will return user, else we will return false. So that way, no, actually that's not true. If we don't have password match, we'll return false. If we have everything else good, we'll return user, and we can just put a debugger here and we can test it. But first thing, we have to go here to sign up, and let's do because 3, and then let's have password 1234. So we will go, and you see we get this password now. So we don't have any more plain password, but we have this hash value, and this is what is stored in the database. So now to log in, I need these two information. Let's go here, let's put something here, and then here, if I don't give 3 here, I should get something. Okay, so we have some issue here, and let's go and check it out what is happening. So if we go to our login route, okay, so sign up seems pretty much okay, but in the login, so we have user data, and we have to say that if not user data, or if user data is false, then we have something. So actually we can try something here. If, let's just say no, so if type of user data is object, so that means we are passing the user value, then we can do something like that. Else, if not user data, or we don't even need it, or let's just have it if we don't have user data. Okay, so we need to think a little bit here. Okay, so let's try to rethink here. So we can get from user data. Okay, so if the user data is object, and let's also check that actually user data has something, email. If the user data has email and that's object, then we will return like user data for now. Else we'll just say response.status, and we will say 403 because it's forbidden, and we can just say invalid email password. Okay, so let's see if this works. Still didn't work. We have login, so let's check it where we are. Let's put the debugger. Okay, so we don't get anything. Interesting. So what's happening? We have payload email, we don't have that issue there. Okay. Okay, so we have our application crashed. So let's save this first. Let's go here. Okay, so we are here and we are getting payload, so that's pretty good. Then let's see the next step. Okay, so in the next step it fails, so that means something inside login user we have a problem. So let's go inside the services. Here we have problem, and I guess we are not getting here. So let's go one more time. First let's save this so that our server restarts. Then let's go here. Okay, so we are here. Let's play. It goes to password match. So let's see. We have payload.password. That's 123. And then we have this password, and this is hash. So this is what I was telling you, because we get user from here and we get a lot of stuff from user, like created, full name, ID, password, everything. And then we are comparing this, and it says payload.password, so 123, and then we have this password. So if that password matches, we should be coming here. If it doesn't match, then we should be stopping here or returning here. So it's actually here in the error, and let's see what's the error. So it says bakery default get salt is not function. Okay, so we have issue in Bcrypt, and this is the good thing about having a debugger. So I think it should be Gen salt. Okay, let's try one more time. So let's hit here. That's good, we are there. And user is we have user, so this shouldn't run. So we are here. Okay, so I think this time it passes. So let's see if our password match. So this password 123 and this hash, does it match? And if you hover here, it says false, and that's what we wanted, because we don't want that. And if we play it, and if you go here, it says invalid email and password, and that's what exactly we wanted. I will just go here and remove all the breakpoints. So now if we actually go and provide the actual password, so that has 4 here. So if we have that, and if we send, and you see we get it, because that's the password we wanted to pass. So this way we have successfully created a hash, and we have compared it, and then we have authenticated user properly. So until now we have done pretty good job. Now we have couple of more things to do in order to have everything right, and one of that is creating a JWT token or JSON web token. And for that reason I will go here, I will clear, so I will say add, I will just do JSON web token. Okay, so this will allow us to create the token we want. And then in this same time, I'm also going to create middleware folder if we don't have already, and looks like we don't have. So let's go here. Okay, so middlewares. So inside middlewares, I will create a file called auth token.ts. Okay, so first of all, I will tell you what exactly is middleware. So for that, we can go to one of the route here, and you see in route I have always imported this some function called next function, and So far we have only used request and response, so request and response. However, actually we also can take another thing, and that will be next function, and we will need this, so let's also have that. So what happens with this next function? So next function is in each request, HTTP request, we are getting requests. So that's where we have all this data that we are getting from user. Sometimes we get it from the body, sometimes we get it from params, but we get it from there. And for example, if you go to URL router and there is this URL code, that is something we get from requested params instead of requested body. So we are getting data, that is request. Request has a lot of things. We can just console log it and see it. For example, if you go here and then if I go to user route and if I just put the breakpoint there, then if I go here and hit this, then it stops here. So if I hover over request, you see we have body, we have base URL, we have like params. At the moment we don't have any params. We have query, we have a lot of this next, we have like a lot of this kind of things in the request. Okay, and then response is something that we use to respond something to user back. Okay, so everything should end after response, and this is what we are doing. So we are responding back, and once we respond something back, that's it, it ended there. There is no more communication. So there is a request and there is a response back, and that's it. However, there are cases where we also want to use next. That means it will go to the next thing. So for example, we have this function. If in this path, if we had some other function, then we can also use that. So for example, this async function uses here. So if we had some other function here, then because we are ending all the requests here by sending response, it will never go to this path. However, if we use the next, then it will do whatever it has to do there, and then it will go to the next, and we will take the benefit of that. And that is what called middleware. So middleware is, it doesn't send any response back to the request, so it doesn't end the request. However, it does some job and then it will do the next. So it's almost like continue in JavaScript. Okay, so we'll see that in action. Let's go here, and then in the auth token we will import few things. So actually I can just copy things from here somewhere. We don't need express, so let's just remove it. So we want this one, and then we want JWT from JSON web token. Okay, so this JWT is a short form of JSON web token. Okay, and then we also want to now import something that we created earlier, remember, from, was it util folder, and that was a secret, JWT secret. You can also just, instead of this, just do process.env and then just do JWT secret. So you can do this and we get it. Sometime we need to also import .env, but this is also good. However, just to sync everything, because and also get benefit of type importing and everything, it's better to have this kind of some secret file where you are not exposing anything. So you are actually not storing anything, because this will be committed, it will go in Git repo and so on. However, you are having all the things, so when someone new comes, they can see all the secrets here, and then they can also easily import, because you cannot easily import things from process.env, because there you actually need to go check it and then call process.env. So I like to use it. It's not mandatory, but it's just for your comfort. And then we also want to import one more thing, and that is user type. And that will be coming from types. Okay, so we have imported everything we want. Now we are going to generate SS token, and it's pretty simple. All we can say, generate SS token, and then it can be async, not necessarily, and it will take user, so that will be our user type, and then I think it will give a string back, and what it does is it will return jwt dot sign. So I don't know why, I think we are missing the types here, so that's why so let's just have it. Okay, so now I think we should, okay, so we get this, and then you can see it already says everything here. So we want payload, so what we want is we want to have, and this is up to you to decide, so I will say user.email, because this is what the token will consist, and when someone will decode this token, then they can see this system, and I will show you how to decode it. And then I will also have, so the next thing is we will use this JWT secret, and the reason for using this, you can by the way just pass some random text here, but the reason is we want to know the token was actually created by our server, and this way, because this is a secret and you shouldn't share this to anyone and only your server has it, so when this token comes back and then this we have to verify that token, then we will know that this token was actually created from our server. So that's why we need that. And then there is one more thing, there are a lot of other things, but expire in, and I will for now just write 2 ads. Okay, and then why it does not, okay, so do we actually need promise? I guess not. If we need, we'll see it. So we are returning a string, and it will be a JWT token. So for example, if we go here and JWT token decoder, there are this kind of thing where you can pass JWT decode and it will show you everything. So token will look like something like this, and it will have some payload data. In our case, it will have email and that. Okay, so the next one is actually we want to create something called get auth token, and this time this will be async, and it will have a request, and then it will have a response. Yeah, it looks a little bit strange because until now we were using only in the router, but this will go in the router as a middleware, so that's why we want this. And then we will get user from request, and I will do something like this. So we will get user from there as user type, and that's why I have imported that type. And then now we will create SS token, and that SS token will be generate SS token, and we'll pass user. So this user, whatever we have it from auth token, I mean, yeah, whatever we have from request, we'll pass it here. And then when we have everything, we'll just say response status 200, that means success, and then we'll just do JSON, and we'll do email, and that is user dot email, and we'll pass SS token, that is SS token that we just created. And additionally we can also pass is logged in, and that is true. Okay, so this is what our user will get after they have successfully signed in or they have successfully registered. Okay, so how to use this? So that's the tricky part. So let's go to route, and then we need to import this. So let's go here, and then let's import from middleware auth token, and then we will have get auth token. All right, we are proceeding pretty nicely. Yes, this video is getting longer, but nice things takes time. So we have user here. So now instead of sending this user, we want to do something. So first, remember here in our auth token, we were getting user from requested user. But how do we get that user? We get that user by passing that user here. So here we still have access to this request. So what we say is, hey request, please accept. Actually we can even do something like this, user, and we'll get TypeScript complaint. It said it does not exist somewhere. So to do that, we can actually have some folder here called, no, it should be folder. So let's have express, and then inside here we can have index.d.ts, and then we can just go and do something like this. Yeah, so we have user type, and if I save this, if we go back to our router, you see it knows that we have already extended the express and it gets user type, and that is already okay. However, sometimes it still complains, so I'll just like to do this, that way we didn't get any complaint. And then when we have attached this user to the request, that's when I will call this get authentication, and then I will pass request, I will pass response. And now if everything is good and working, we should be getting authentication like JWT token instead of what is it called, instead of the user data we had earlier. Similarly, here also, instead of sending user data, we can exactly do this. And here we have to write user data. Okay, so let's do the finger crossing here, and let's go here, and then we are in user login. And remember earlier when we log in, we get all this, and now we don't want all this information. We want our JWT token, and the token should be in this format. So basically we will have a payload, we will have email, we'll have is login, and we will have also SS token. So this is what we are expecting, and remember it might surprise us, and voila, we got it. Okay, so here you can see we successfully logged in, and now we have SS token, and this token in front end we will store in local storage. Additionally, people also store it in cookies, but in our case we will store in local storage. We will save it there so that every time user is making request, we will use this token to authenticate that actually this is a valid token, it was generated from our server, and that user has all the permission what that user is expecting. So let's copy this JWT token, and remember this place. So if we go here, you can see that it says the email is this one, is logged in is true, and this was the information, these were, and it says login true. And if you remember here in auth token, we actually had this information, and that's the reason we got that. So if we want more information, for example, we also want full name of user, and we say full name, then we need to create token again because this token won't have anything. So let's create a new token. So we got new token here. Now if we go here, and if we do here, you can see that that information is also attached there. We don't need it, so we will remove it, because why to have more information when we don't need it? But that's the information we will get. And now let's also go here and let's try with Vikas pour, and let's try to sign up. And now we should also get exactly the same kind of response instead of this response. Let's do this, and you can see we have, because we have email, and that's enough for us to identify. We have token, and you can see that when we decode this token, we will get also all the information at least. So this sums up the backend part of user login and authentication. So in our next video, we will be doing exactly the same thing from front end. So we will be passing payload, and then we will be also passing the login payload, and then we will save the response that we got. So this response in local storage, actually we will only save SS token in local storage. So that will be our next video. And then once we are done with that, after that we will move and we will start actually making a relation between user and then URL, because at the moment, if you see here, we don't have any relation. Okay, so we'll make the relation, and then we will show all the information or all the short URL created by user in this kind of list, and we'll also let them edit and so on. So there's still more stuff to do and more videos coming. And if you like all these, and if you are enjoying so far this journey, then like the button if you haven't already, and you can tag someone who will need to see this video. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe this channel, and also hit the bell notification icon. If you have any question, if you want to ask anything with me, then you will find all the contact information in the description. So feel free to use any of those medium and contact me. Thank you so much for being until this part of the video, and I hope to see you in another video. Until then, keep coding. Bye bye.